Welcome to the Wiser Talk, produced by Wiser Ghosh Software Solutions, the premier low-code company of India. Our host today is Avinanda Ghosh, a veteran of the financial services sector in India with over 30 years of experience. He culminated his service career as the CFO, CIO, and CISO of a public sector general insurance company. Mr. Ghosh is a low-code evangelist and is presently an advisor to Wiser Ghosh.
Hello and welcome. Our guest today is Mr. Joydeep Roy. Mr. Joydeep Roy is a veteran of the insurance domain, having put in nearly 35 years, spanning almost all the segments of the general insurance landscape. He started his career in the public sector with National Insurance Company Limited, and then later switched to the private sector to join IFCO Tokyo General Insurance. He went on to become the head of their corporate marketing group and then took over as the CEO of its subsidiary, the IFCO Tokyo Insurance Services Limited. In 2014, Mr. Roy left the shores of India to join Phoenix of Botswana Assurance Company Pty Limited in Gaborone as their CEO. He led the company to 100% growth. Now that's saying something. He later joined the Reliance Insurance Company Tanzania Limited as its Chief Operating Officer, working out of Dar es Salaam. In 2018, Mr. Roy returned to India and joined Safe Risk Insurance Brokers to lead their expansion efforts. He's been with them ever since. Mr. Joydeep Roy is an associate member of the Insurance Institute of India. He lives in Calcutta. Welcome back, Joydeep. Let us pick up from where we left off. We were talking about the overall insurance domain, general insurance especially, and where we are leading to in future. But the broad vision of yours, I was glad to have your idea, your perspective of where we are leading into, what are the opportunity areas, what are the basic challenges, and how we have a window to solve or address those challenges. Now, one thing which I want to have your opinion on before I move on to some more topical discussion is that one of the biggest challenges is the very poor penetration of general insurance especially, and also why not even life insurance, into the general population of the country. And one of the main reasons which people say, and in my experience I have felt in my bones, is that the concept of insurance is pretty darn difficult for the common man to understand. See, it's not as if we are selling toothpaste, where the guy comes to the counter, he pays the money, he takes a tube which has everything written on it, and he knows what it's used for, and he goes away, transaction completed. It's not even, let's say, like a service of, let's say, a bus ride, where you go to the counter, pay the money, take the ticket, board the bus, over. Insurance is something of a future promise. You pay and you don't get anything back, instantly at least. And then there are so many pluses and minuses and pros and cons and ifs and buts, which are all legitimate, by the way, which are all part of the concept, which are all part of the policy or the solution. But at the end of the insurance period, a lot of people are left feeling as to, like, what happened? What did I pay for? And maybe their misconception, but whatever it is, the insurance concept is has not yet sat well with the population in general. Now, my question is, we've tried and tried enough, but penetration is low. Now, with the coming age, does technology have any way to at least aid in the spread of the insurance awareness?
Avinanda, that was quite a longish question, but it gave a good perspective of the things that we are going to talk about. Let's break the thing into 2 or 3 parts. The first part is that insurance understanding is low. The
Yes.
second part is insurance penetration is low. And the third part is, can technology help improve these 2 things?
Yes, correct. Absolutely.
So when we talk about insurance understanding, you gave the example of buying a toothpaste. Now, when you go to buy a toothpaste, you have certain expectations. And when you get the product, your expectations match 70, 80, 90%. Okay?
Yes, absolutely.
It's written, आपके toothpaste में नमक है. When you put the toothpaste on the brush and you brush it, and you find that a little salty taste. Yeah.
Yeah.
So expectations met.
Yeah, absolutely.
You go to ride on the bus. You expect that the bus will move, and you expect that if you're lucky, you might get a seat. Now you also find that the windows are rattling, not to your expectations. There's a obnoxious smell of diesel inside the bus, not to your expectations, but generally your expectations are met.
Yeah.
Right? But when you come to insurance, your expectations and your results are often at loggerheads. Remember that recent case which we came up on the papers, that one of the insurance companies refused a personal accident claim for riding a motorcycle more than 150 cc.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's really viral nowadays.
Okay. Now, see it from the person who met with an accident. He bought a personal accident policy and expected that if he bangs his motorcycle or whatever contraption he's riding into something and he hurts himself, the company pays.
Yes.
Okay. But then the company comes up with a small,
small print
somewhere that if you are riding it more than 150 cc, we are not going to get paid. Now, you see what happens is that when you buy a product, you have an expectation, and the moment you pay the price, your expectation hardens. And when the product, when it comes to the delivery,
yes.
and it meets that hard expectation, there lies the root of mistrust on insurance. Now, if you ask the question that, Joydeep, how do we better that?
Yes.
That when this expectation is forming, when you are soliciting for the product, you should address the client's expectation. Don't expect the client to understand your point of view. Customer is the king. And not only customer is the king, but you are the servant.
I do buy this.
It's very
Being
easy
served.
to say that customer is the king, but it's not so easy to say that I am the servant.
I must say it's very insightful. Yeah.
Right. So when we are soliciting, we are allowing these expectations to happen. We are not soliciting well. We are not disseminating information well. Mark this point with a red flag when we will talk about the technology part. The dissipating of information. That's not well. Now we come to the second part of the question, the penetration, right? Penetration is just not information. If you had perfect information, you still may not penetrate, because penetration is a function of financial conditions. Penetration is a function of financial maturity. Penetration is a function of information available, and penetration is a function of a lot of other things. Cost of acquisition of business, arbitrages which exist in the market. There are a lot of these factors which determine penetration. Definitely, a technology has role to play in each of these functions. Okay. So if we now come to the third part of our question, where we are talking about, can technology help? My answer is very simple. It is the technology, and the technology only can help. Wow.
Oh,
How?
well,
Because
that's a almost a very very big statement to make. Yeah, please carry on.
Yes, because we have been agents and very recently brokers. Brokers in India is just about 18 years old institution, where agents have been there for hundreds of years. We had development officers. We had insurance companies having marketing persons marketing directly. So all these factors, all these agents of information had gone up to a certain level, and most of them have stopped at the urban level. Some has penetrated into the semi-urban level.
Semi-urban.
Okay. Now, if you look at the insurance buying customer segments, most of your customer segments are still in the urban and the semi-urban area.
Correct. And therein lies the rub.
Yes. Now, who is buying insurance? A person who is more or less used to a computer, a person who has a smartphone in his hand, a person who sends good morning messages on WhatsApp in the morning and receives 20 back. This is the typical person I'm talking about who is buying insurance. Now, he is already open to technology. He has his doors open to technology. It is now for the technology to go inside the door. Now we come to the other part of the market, where we are talking about the class 3 sector, tier 3, tier 4 cities and villages.
Yes.
Where the cost of carrying the information to the last mile is very high.
Well, yes.
If I have to travel for 2 hours to explain a concept of insurance to a person who will buy an insurance out of 10,000 rupees, of which there is a commission of 1,000 rupees, it is just not worth it for me.
And in fact, the cost of going and staying and coming, and that too maybe multiple times from our experiences
so
in
the
industry.
cost of acquisition of business is very high, and it eats into the burning cost and makes the pricing thing daughter.
Absolutely.
Right. So it's not worthwhile for the insurance companies to spend that kind of money to take it there. They would rather try to be in the the red water instead of going into the blue water.
Right.
They would rather be in the murky urban, semi-urban insurance market and glean whatever business that they can, rather than spend so much of money for so little of gain. Here comes the role of technology again. Technology is the only cheap platform, only inexpensive platform which can take you to that last mile with a viable cost of acquisition of business. That's my take on the 3 points that you had put on the budget.
Absolute, and I really liked the way you sort of put it in a way. I mean, that is the sort of root of solution of insurance. Also, I feel that the awareness of insurance concept has to be spread in such a manner that it's very easy for the next person to understand. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that was very well put. Now let me ask you, just carrying on from here, that from the overall industry perspective, as we are able to penetrate, make aware and penetrate, what would you say therefore are the directions to take, in the sense that what in your opinion would be the major opportunity areas in the coming times? What are the major directions in which the general insurance industry would go?
Uh, the the general insurance industry would go into, possibly, first, taking a cue from what we discussed in the last question.
Yeah.
If the rural and the semi-urban sector is underutilized or underpenetrated, so it will
Yes.
be worthwhile for an insurance company to spend on technology, spend on people, to go into this blue water, where
Yes.
if they can reach, they can get the money,
Yes. Yes.
right? And the second would be building out products which are not, cannot be, how do I put it, cannot be accused of having fine prints. A straight product.
Yeah. In the IT industry, we used to have a very delightful term called WYSIWYG. Nowadays, I don't hear that term
No,
much,
no.
but what it was that what you see is what you get.
Right, right,
So that is basically what we probably need in insurance as well.
right, right.
WYSIWYG, what we see is what we get. Yeah.
Now, now again, since insurance is an intangible product, it
Yes.
there are expectations, because have you realized one thing, Avinanda, that insurance, the pricing of insurance,
Yes.
when you make the product,
Mm.
how do you make a bucket of paint? You buy the solvent, you buy the pigments, you buy the tin, and you mix it. So you buy them first. You first incur the costs,
Yes.
and then
Yes.
you sell it in the market for a price.
Correct. Correct.
But insurance pricing is an ex post pricing. You make the product, you sell it in the market,
Mm.
right? And then you incur the claims cost.
Mm.
Then you incur the claims cost. So the insurance costing, the cost of making a product, which is the claims, comes
Mm.
after you have sold the product.
Yes, yes. And that
Okay,
is, in fact, what it sort of has an impact on the expectation also. And that is what makes it a peculiar, a unique
that's
product
right.
amongst
That's
all the
right. That's right.
millions of products in the world.
So
Yeah.
so so the expectations comes later. So
Mm.
as a conscientious um, broker or an agent or an insurance company marketing person, it's your duty to
Mm.
address that expectation. You will have to
Mm.
find out what your customer expects.
Want see, my focal question would be like customers in which area, like what would the customers going forward in future, what are the lines of insurance which
See,
probably would be the sunrise areas of
okay,
insurance?
okay. Now, first is that uh, you know today that after the COVID situation, for the first time, people have voluntarily buying insurance.
Yes. Yes.
Insurance is no longer being sold on those sectors. So
And B, if I may add, insurance is now in the front page of newspapers.
yeah, yeah,
Talk of awareness. Talk of
absolutely.
awareness. Insurance is now having headlines.
It's exactly. And so health insurance has a lot and a lot of possibilities. That is
Yeah.
one sector of insurance that is going to really go high. The second thing that I expect or I have seen in the past is the cyber insurance. Most
Oh,
of us, most of us expose ourselves to cyber risks because we do net banking, we do credit card transactions, right?
yes.
We do debit card transactions.
Correct. Yeah.
We do NEFTs and RTGS and IMPS and what. Now, now,
Mm-hmm.
all these expose us to cyber frauds and
Yes.
cyber crimes. That is one branch of insurance that I'm expecting to sort of go
Okay.
up.
Now, okay. So, both the areas mentioned, which are, of course,
There is
top
a
of the
third
line in,
there is a
yeah,
third and third
please.
thing
Yeah.
also, which is the
Mm.
personal line of insurance, personal accident. I'm talking about general insurance,
Yes,
personal
yes.
accident, and householders insurance and liability insurance. These retail lines are definitely going to go up.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. So, what comes to my mind is like the two big or three uh, big directions which you talked about, and certainly they, now that you say it, they seem to be absolutely in our face, standing right there, opportunities in front of us. But I tend to think that both would need, maybe, and I'll ask you about that, is maybe big policy pushes from the government for health insurance or cyber fraud insurance, cyber crime insurance, regulations which maybe act as an impetus, or regulations which may act as a deterrent for the occurrence of those, let's say, cyber fraud, like cyber regulations or something. Now, but going beyond also these two, what would you say? Do you have any wish list from the government? Do you have any, a bucket list of government positive intervention which would give a fillip to the spread of insurance?
Uh, See, it's a yes and a no answer.
Okay.
I remember that in 1991, when
Hmm.
the uh, Public Liability Insurance Act came into
Hmm.
uh, being, that whoever were using certain hazardous materials had to insure for public
Hmm.
liability. We
Yes.
thought that this would increase the public liability insurance line. But
Okay.
in reality, it was only the compulsory insurances that were taken, and quite
Hmm.
a few of them sort of hoodwinked the law and sort of bypassed this requirement. So
Okay.
a law can give a start, but it is the industry which we will have to make products which are as good or as bad as available,
Yes.
so that the public finds interest to buy it.
Hmm. Hmm.
I mean,
Hmm.
the law can only start a spark, but you have to have fuel and so what to sustain the fire.
Yes. Um, uh, like, for example, but talking of the other side of the table, let's say, to give an impetus to the spread of insurance, a policy or a regulatory push or even a development push say, you were talking of the huge blue waters of the rural insurance market. Now, there is a massive crop insurance program or a crop insurance going on in the country, which I believe is almost entirely uh, emanating out of a government regulation or a government policy or something. I really don't know how much of it would be non-government, entirely personalized, or individualistic kind of policy situation. But broadly and majorly, it would be a government intervention. Or if we come to talk of the motor insurance, which is a very profit-making line of general insurance, that also started with the Motor Vehicles Act. And it gave initially a compulsion, a mandatory provision to insure in a small way. But thereafter, it sort of picked up. And yes, the insurance companies had a big role in pushing up the small core of the Motor Vehicles Act, the act-only policies. But yes, the government had a big role in the spread of insurance in areas such as this. So do you have any such wish list from the government?
Definitely. If the government, uh, if you talked about the agriculture insurance scheme, but also the health insurance scheme that's being spread into the rural area by
Yeah,
the
yeah.
government is making in the concept of insurance known in that market. So that will
Yes.
make it easier for the insurance companies to go and sell other products.
Hmm.
So the concept is being known. So the government can act in two ways. One is it can it can give a fillip to a certain product line, which can make the concept introduced in the market,
Hmm.
like it is doing for crop insurance, like it is doing for the health insurance, rural health insurance.
Hmm. Hmm.
And the second is that the second is that it can introduce certain laws which can make insurance compulsory. I have a
Yes.
little apprehension on this line because so many times I've seen in my career that there were laws, but the laws can only start a thing, it cannot sustain. It did not sustain
Yes.
liability insurance, it did not sustain third party insurance. Today,
Yes.
third party insurance uh, is taken definitely in the urban area where police can stop your
Hmm.
car and check for your
Hmm.
insurance policy. But
Hmm.
I hear that quite a few vehicles in the rural India are moving
Hmm.
without insurance.
Goodness me.
Yes.
So it's not only the law, but also its implementation.
Also its implementation, and the cost of implementation is very high. So
Very.
what you can expect that the law can start a process, it is for the industry to pick that queue up,
Yes. Yes.
pick that
Yes.
queue
Yes.
up. Let me daydream. Suppose the insurance, the government makes a law that if you have more than 500,000 in your deposit accounts, you will have
Hmm.
to take a cyber insurance.
Yeah. Yes. Interesting.
A cyber insurance. Now it is for the insurance companies to come out and give a good pricing and
Yeah.
work on that opportunity so that
Hmm.
it becomes popular.
Correct. Popular
It
is a
becomes
very key
popular.
word.
Yeah.
Yes. 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 So, okay. So, the insurance companies coming out, seizing on the cue which the government has given them
Yeah.
and building on it to make it popular, as you said, and it's very important, very, very important. Um, I would wonder, are there any specific areas of the insurance service, which which can be optimized using technology. Like, for example, uh, when the insurance companies come forward to make it popular, what are some of the things that they can do, especially with technology enablement, which would go towards making the insurance product popular?
Okay, you can take it in again 3 or 4 parts where
Okay.
where
Okay.
this technology can be a kind of a guiding light for penetrating or making this concept popular.
Yes.
The first is acquisition of business. I'll give an example. When the broking concept came in,
Yeah.
brokers were not allowed to have sub brokers.
Okay.
Why?
Yes.
Because brokers were a IRDA controlled entity, and
Yes.
them having sub brokers, I mean, it was very difficult to exercise that control. Possibly,
Correct. Correct.
it could be
Yeah.
possibly one of the reasons,
Mm,
right?
mm, mm.
Today, the brokers are allowed to have points of sale,
Mm, mm.
right? So,
Oh,
why this has happened? Because there is a software of this of controlling these points of sale, which IRDA can access if required.
yeah. Okay.
Data, the data,
Okay.
right?
Mm,
So what I am doing through that point of sale can be
mm.
very well documented.
Yes.
So
And therefore controlled.
therefore controlled if required or
Yes.
developed. So
Or regulated.
regulated or
Yeah.
so this would make the concept of insurance being spread in a
Mm.
much more cost effective manner.
Correct. Correct. Correct.
The
Correct.
second point that we come to is the issuance of policy.
Mm.
Ask around and you'll find that a lot of people have paid premium and have not got the policy. Their year was over. I'm talking from the general insurance perspective,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Mm.
Today, the policies are issued on an instant in a soft form.
Yes.
So the retrieval, the concept of this original policy has
Mm.
now been done in a soft version of it,
Yeah.
and it's so easily accessible.
Yes. And you may also perhaps know, it was a new discovery for me at least, is
Yeah.
that that government documentation archival system which the government has devised, the DigiLocker.
Uh,
There I found that there are slots to download your original policies from the individual insurance companies
uh-huh.
and archive them, and they, under the IT Act,
Hmm.
would be at par with the original signed documents.
That's right.
The digital, so to me, that's almost a revolution kind of thing.
Yes. So the contract, the evidence of contract is, if it is digitized, it is so easily accessible. And
Yes, yes,
if
yes,
required, you can do an endorsement, you can preserve
yes.
those endorsements. The third part comes of
Mhm.
technology comes in handling of claims.
Yes, most important.
Today, today in motor insurance, remote sensing and remote handling of claims is common. Almost every insurer does it.
Mm,
And
mm,
it is the technology which has enabled it. I expect
mm,
development in this aspect too. The fourth and the last point is your
mm.
customer grievance management.
Ah,
When we were rookies back in
mm,
86, 87,
yeah.
a customer grievance used to come in a piece of paper in a customer grievance cell,
Mm.
and if he was lucky enough, it would get connected with his file. You needed a lot of luck, a lot of walking around to make the grievance go through the process. But now, technology has enabled this customer grievance to be managed to the last key. So these are
Yes.
the four aspects which I believe that the technology will contribute to taking insurance further in penetrate insurance and people having confidence on the insurance companies.
Oh, well, with that very, very positive note, let us take a break, Joydeep. And what I intend to do after coming back is to take a cue from this last positive flag which you have raised
Mhm.
and get some more into the technology aspects of the insurance business.
Thank you so much.